Hey everybody, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Sorry that I've taken so long to do another episode of how I make Pokemon challenges. My whole schedule got backed up a little bit. Normally takes me about 5 days to play through a challenge. I break it up into segments, and then it takes me about 5 days to edit a video, but life got really busy, so it's been taking a little while. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how I do the script in a little bit more detail. Mostly what the script should look like when it's done, and a few little tips while writing it, and how I write it, because I know I gave you a little bit of details before, as well as you get to watch me do the first page of voiceover. So I guess everything that you would need for today is you need a word processing piece of software. I'm sure you have one on your computer. I use OpenOffice. It's nice, it's free, it does a good job. But I know some people just use like Notepad and stuff. You're also gonna need some audio software. I guess this is where you might get a little bit out of sync with me. I'm just teaching you how I do this, not necessarily like the optimal way to do it or anything. Everybody has their own style, everybody has their own software and everything. And so I use Adobe Audition for my voiceover stuff, whereas you might use something else. If you don't have like professional software like that, you might use Audacity because that's free and you can just go Google that and grab that. But just whatever audio software you have is probably fine. So this is the script for the Pokemon Gold Misdreavus run you guys saw in the previous episode. I just had the very beginning little bits filled in and everything, but now I have the whole thing done. And as you can see, it's actually a pretty short script. It's 5 pages for me, not even a full 5 pages. Usually these are a little bit longer than that, but this was a little bit of a quick run in that there weren't so many battles with long descriptions. Battles with long descriptions are going to be the vast majority of your script for the most part. At least they always end up being it for me. The more complicated the battles are, the longer the video is going to be, which is why sometimes the Elite Four is like the halfway point or just past the halfway point of my videos, because it's so many complicated battles in a row that I need to explain in depth that it ends up being about as long as the entire rest of the game before it in terms of the actual video at the end. Okay, so we're looking at our finished script here. You can see basically how I filled everything in. It's just like I say all the time. It's literally just as I'm playing the game, once I finish my footage on something, I just tab out and I start writing basically what just happened. So for the most part, that's self-explanatory. We'll look at this line. Finally, we hit level 27 after taking out every trainer in the area, learn Psybeam, and go to Whitney. I'm literally just listing what I was doing at the time. 40 seconds after I started the fight, it's over. I didn't think I'd beat her that badly. Yeah, I almost forgot about that because I've been working on a Gibble run now because everyone asks for that. But yeah, I had demolished Whitney. And so, you know, what did I do after dealing with Whitney? What I did after dealing with Whitney was apparently, I decided I needed more levels before I could take on Morty's Ghost Gym. So I went ahead and fought the Kimono Girls for the Surf Agent, right? And then there was the Umbreon thing. I couldn't beat all of them though, since one uses Umbreon and psychic moves don't work on dark types. So I had to come back later once I get Shadow Ball from Morty. These are the kinds of things that people generally seem to find interesting, at least judging by my comment section, is I'm telling you the obstacles that came into my path, not just the obvious ones of like, you know, gym leaders, major fights, rivals. Obviously you want to cover those to some degree, but the unexpected things, like when I was first doing my research on the challenge and trying to figure out like, okay, what are the moves I have? What are the stats I have? What do I think my difficulties will be? I totally forgot about the Kimono Girls. I forgot that one of them uses an Umbreon and that, you know, by the time I get there, I probably won't have an attacking move that would work against them. So I'd got to figure out, you know, what would be the optimal move around there. And the answer to that is, the answer to what the optimal move around there is Shadow Ball, because we're Ghost type, so it's got Stab, and yeah, it gets resisted by Umbreon, but it's not a very strong Umbreon. You can power your way through with that. So those are the kinds of things I generally find interesting to write about when writing it. I guess another part that you might be interested in when it comes to the script is when I'm describing a more complicated battle. You can see down there, there's me describing fighting the Steel Gym. Let's just create a little bit of space in our document here. Let's say that, you know, you're right now doing a challenge and you're writing down everything you're doing and you're trying to, you know, make your script. Let's say you have a complicated fight. Because, sometimes you don't remember the fight perfectly. I often rewatch my footage while filling in script bits. So what I'll do is if I know it was a really complicated fight with like a lot of Pokemon and everything, and that I'm not going to be able to like super accurately recap it. And I think it's really important that I accurately recap it because that's like the majority of the video is the voiceover. Again, like what I'm saying is the most important part of the video, not the footage. So don't leave the footage to fill in all of your gaps when you could be doing it with your voice. A lot of people like enjoying this on the side. So let's say that the steel gym was actually really, really complicated, which it looks like it kind of was. But at the time, here's what I would have done. If I know that I was against the steel gym and like, let's say right now I just beat the steel gym, but it was a complicated fight and I know that it'll take me a minute to like fill everything in. I'll literally just write down, after that, I decide to give the steel gym one more try just in case, because that was my line that I wrote down there, right? So that's what I would have written right after I beat it. Then I would have written describe in caps lock and just moved on and continued with the rest of the script. This is to keep the flow going, like if I'm in the pace of like really playing the game and focusing on the game, I'll do that a lot. And then, after the day's done and I've done all the Pokemon Challenge stuff that I want to do for the day, then I will come back to this after and, I'll control F for find, describe, I'll hit find all, and there's the word describe there. Okay, so then I would go back to my footage that I've recorded of that battle. I'll watch it, and then, I'll pause it whenever I need to, and I'll start filling out the battle one by one. First was a Magnemite, so I'll talk about how the Magnemite went and the struggles with that. All of that stuff then is a second Magnemite, unless she sent out the Steelix second, but usually, yeah, Steelix was last in that run, which is usually what she does. So literally, I'll just write down describe, and then just move on. You can fill that in whenever you want before you do the voiceover. So if you want, and this is something I've done a few times when I was a little short on time, is I beat the whole challenge and I described like very few of the battles. Like I'll have the word describe in there like 15 times. And then I'll just sit down for a solid hour one day and just start watching back fights and filling in fights and stuff. That way you're not compromising the quality of the recap of the battles just because you don't remember the best and everything. You're forcing yourself to rewatch it and analyze it a little bit with with the knowledge of how the battle went. You're able to analyze it a little bit and really go into depth on how this fight went, because those are kind of the most interesting points of the challenge for the most part, is how the battles are going, considering, it's a battle-based game. We don't need that there right now, though, because, of course, we've already filled that in. This is actually a finished script. What I recommend is I send this off to my friend What a Geek, who you see me do randomizer Pokemon stuff with over on his channel, linked in the description of all my Pokemon challenges. He's also on my Pokemon Stadium stuff. I always send him my script so that he can read it back and just make sure that I didn't word anything really weird. I recommend you do the same thing. You send it to like a friend who has already told you that they're interested in reviewing it for you, because it is a lot of work. And they read through it, and you basically have them let you know when something isn't described very well. Because a lot of people are going to watch this on the side. So what you need to keep in mind is that your footage might fill in some of the blanks of what you're saying here. Some of what's being said here. If you were to just read everything that's on screen right now, then you probably wouldn't get quite as complete of a picture as if you were watching the finished video, because there's the visuals on screen alongside it, and it helps you follow along. That said, a lot of people don't watch. A lot of people literally just listen to this on the side while they're doing other things, and that's awesome too, whether they're doing chores or working out or whatever. And so, generally, you want things to be as easy to understand by audio as possible so that they could just glance over every once in a while and have an idea of what you're doing. It'll make it more enjoyable for that very large amount of people who just want this as background noise. That's something that's really important, is that when you send it to somebody, they won't have seen your footage. And so they're based entirely off of not even hearing your voice, just reading the script and being able to see if they can follow along what happened in the fight. And if they can generally follow along with what happened in the fight without hearing your voice and without seeing your footage, they're literally just reading the script, you're doing a good job. So that's something to aim for. I believe I've already showed you the outro of the script, but literally it's just a paragraph where I say a bit about how I feel about the run. I literally will write that down while the credits are rolling, usually, where, the second I finish the run, while the credits are rolling and I have I have OBS recording the credits and everything, I'll just be sitting here and writing down what my thoughts were on the run. And then I get into my outro stuff of, letting the new viewers know, if you want to request a challenge, put it in the comments or on Twitter. Those are the best places for it. Letting them know that there's a playlist and there's more to watch if they're interested in this kind of video, and letting them know other Pokemon stuff I do, such as, the Pokemon Blue and Red randomizer over on What a Geek's channel that I do with him. And in fact, I can rewrite this a little bit of the script now because I haven't done the voiceover for this yet. And just recently, we actually beat that run. We've finished that run. So I can actually reword this before I voice it over, which, those little touch-ups you can do all the way up to the last minute, basically. So that's pretty much how I do scripts. Writing is one of those things I can't help you a whole ton with. I'm not some kind of big talented writer, and I'm not even a huge script guy myself. You guys know that I prefer improv. I'm mostly a Let's Player, as I have been for a decade. But I've written a lot of scripts over the course of my life just because, I did short film and stuff in high school, and I've creatively stretched my legs a few times a year, every single year. And so I've tried a lot of content with scripts before, so I've got a little bit of practice. Don't worry about it. It'll come natural to you with time. But now's the interesting part. I'm going to show you me recording my voiceover. So this is the second thing we're covering this episode, is recording the voiceover for the video. Next video will be me editing the voiceover. So you're probably not going to see any fancy effects or anything in this. I'm actually trying a little bit of new audio setup stuff today. So hopefully everything sounds perfectly fine. I am seeing on my audio graph, it's slightly quiet, but that's the kind of thing that you can fix in post a little. But we'll worry about that a little bit more next episode. This episode, though, I'm going to show you how I like to record my voiceovers. So I've got my Adobe Audition right here, as you can see. This is my audio software of choice, just because I quite like Adobe software. I use Photoshop, I use Premiere for editing, and I use Audition for audio stuff, because it all comes together as a bundle, and I learned how to use this stuff in high school, so it's very convenient for me, but use whatever you prefer. All I've done here is I've created my voiceover track, I like to organize things, so Gen 2, Mr. Viss, voiceover, WAV file, WAV file. Don't worry too much about the technical aspects of your file format and everything when it comes to audio. Whatever you're doing is probably fine. What matters more than anything is that you get into it and you have fun with your recording. So what I do is I just make this nice and small. I literally just hit the record button in the background. Now, if you are using Audacity or anything where your white noise removal is going to be just the built-in white noise removal, here's how you do that. This is something you can do on literally any YouTube video that you're doing a voiceover for, and I highly recommend it because cleaning up your audio is going to do a lot to help people want to keep watching your channel. I'm going to record some of the ambient white noise of my room. Now, this isn't with like pots and pans being washed in the background or windows open or anything. Windows as in like a window in your room, not your computer. You know what I mean? So I'm going to literally just click the record button, take a deep inhale, hold my breath for a few seconds, give it like 5 full seconds of being quiet. And then I'm going to stop my recording, and I'll show you why I do that. So. There we go. Okay, so there was actually a noise from the hallway at the end there, which you can see pick up on the audio graph a little bit. What I did here was I opened up the spectral frequency. If you live in a house with other people, this is just naturally going to happen sometimes. You see that little bit. There's a little bit of something down there, right? That was actually a squeak from a door down the hall. And there was a loud bird right outside my window right there too, but I wasn't recording for that. The most plain, just the ambient noise of your room, whether that be a light fan humming or a light computer humming, or even just your microphone's noise from all the boosted gain and everything. This is the cleanest bit right here. So I'm just going to take a nice clean little sample like that. And you want to navigate to wherever your white noise removal effect is in your software. For me, I hotkeyed everything. So that's like Shift Control P is noise reduction. And I just capture noise print. That'll capture the noise profile of whatever area you hovered over, which would be this. And then from then on until I close the program and reopen it, I could, let's say this were a finished audio track, I could Control A to select all of it, then use my white noise removal and apply that. And you see, it really cleans up those areas. Now, the louder your white noise is, the more it's going to distort your voice when you do this. So preferably, you still want very little white noise, but this does help clean it up a little bit, and I highly recommend this. But best practice is always still just have a fairly quiet room to record in. If you're going to record a voiceover in a closet, that's generally a good idea if you don't have a home studio like I do. So I'm not using that audio effect though. I actually have like this specialty white noise removal plugin thing, but it's also like $150 or something. So I don't recommend it unless you literally do this as a job and you make decent money off of it. This is a beautiful day, everybody. I sit down to start teaching you how to deal with white noise, and then Fatima starts vacuuming the stairs. That timing was beautiful. All right, let's do this quick so that we don't impede people's chores too much. So I'm going to record real quick the first page of this just so you can see a little bit of what the flow is like. What I recommend is record when you're in a good mood, because if you sound bored and burnt out, people will notice. Now, mind you, people think I'm bored and burnt out all the time in the comments section, and I have no idea why, considering I'll literally be laughing in the recording. I think it's just because my voice is often very hoarse, and it's just my voice. So what I'm going to do is I literally just, we've already got the noise profiled if you're doing that. And so we just, you can delete that, the noise profiling footage after, obviously, once you have it profiled. You just hit the record button, and let's get going, because we don't need to go pausing the recording off and on over and over. We'll do that editing tomorrow. You'll flub a lot of lines, by the way. I flub lines constantly. Don't worry about it. Just do the line again if it was weird. Hey everybody, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Fire Red with only one Kabuto was... That happens too if you live in a house. Some, noises happen from outside. I don't even know if that was audible for you, but it vibrated the room. Hey everybody, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Fire Red with only one Kabuto. Pokemon Fire Red with only one Kabuto was really weirdly hard by the end, but botched it. But we've been using way too many rock types, so let's go in a totally other direction. Today's the day that we figure out, would I be able to beat Pokemon Gold with a team of only one Mischievous? You'll notice that what I'm saying is not always perfectly matching up with the text on screen, by the way. That's totally normal. Don't worry about it. Ad-lib. Talk however you talk. Your personality is important. I don't write exactly how I talk. And so I would rather speak it how I would speak it rather than speaking it how I would write it. That's something to keep in mind. So if you're ad-libbing to make it more natural, that's a good thing. Keep doing that. Mischievous is going to be a weird one. Stats-wise, she isn't amazing and isn't awful. Sorry, not the best mic discipline in the world. I shouldn't have looked away there, but I wanted to get my glasses because I'm a little blind. She doesn't really excel or fall behind too hard in anything. And then a horn was honking outside. It's just one of those days, everybody. As soon as it's a nice day out, every noise from outside starts coming in. Her real weakness is that in Gen 2, she can hardly learn any attacking moves. Her only real attacking move until level 27 is Psywave, an inaccurate garbage move that does mostly random damage. And the only same type attack bonus move we can learn... Nope, gotta try that line again. And the only same type attack bonus move we can learn isn't until we beat the 4th gym. Our type coverage is going to be awful. By the way, if you ever botch a line, you don't necessarily have to do the whole line again. Just start from the last time that you took a pause, basically. There's a chance that it'll sound a little bit weird in the recording when you listen back to it later and you're like, oh, I can't really fix this. It sounds strange. And if so, don't worry about it. Just take a minute and redo the line. You can redo a line well after the recording process. I do fixer lines, as I call them, all the time. Once every few Pokemon challenges, I'll have to get a fixer line in there because I missed a line or I really botched one and didn't realize it in the moment. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so all of this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I think that I can win the run with enough time, but I might not be... But I might not have... this one. But I might not have good enough type coverage to be able to beat Red. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Mischievous. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell. Botching my own lines I say every time. Also, if you enjoy the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. Short pause for timing. So right off the bat, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Mischievous so that we can do the whole run with it. I feel like I should be looking at the camera for this. But I totally shouldn't. I should be looking at the script. I replaced Chikorita so that my rival would have Typhlosion. Sorry, I spelled Typhlosion way wrong there. I replaced Chikorita so that my rival would have Typhlosion. I figured that it's probably the hardest for us to fight. I name him Weird Ghastly, or Weird Gastle, as it fits, because... I name him Weird Ghastly, or Weird Gastle, as it fits, because that's hilarious. I'm legitimately really happy with that stupid name. So while I get to the first gym, let me show you how Psywave works. In Gen 2, it always does a random number of damage that will be between 1 damage and 1.5 times our level rounded down. So a level 5 Psywave will do 1 to 7. So at level 5, Psywave will do 1 to 7 damage. Not doing the best today. It also has a 1 in 5 chance of missing and is never super effective. I absolutely hate this move, and it will likely be our only attacking move until level 27, until we find one of the very few TMs that we can use. When I finally get to the Bulbasaur Tower, that's not a place. When I finally get to the Bellsprout Tower, you can really see just how annoying of a move Psywave is. Because of its low power points, low accuracy, and random damage, it's incredibly difficult to beat large numbers of Pokemon. I don't know if I could even beat the second gym leader with this, considering Bugsy has 3 Pokemon, and I won't be doing much damage, but we'll have to wait and see. After running around and healing after every trainer battle until I beat Bellsprout Tower... Did I read that wrong? After running around and healing after every trainer battle until I beat... Okay, I understand now. No, I did write that right. I'm processing it wrong. After running around and healing after every trainer until I beat Bellsprout Tower, we're ready for Falconer and his flying gym. But even with Psywave, it's not that bad. We have Confuse right now, so although Psywave is still super reliable, Falconer is a terrible trainer, so we still win. Pretty much any trainer at this point in the game can be really annoying because of how easy it is to run out of power points, and that I don't have the option to run away if I run out. But I really do have to fight everything that I can if I'm going to stand a chance at the upcoming gym. There we go. Near the end there, I was kind of getting the flow. And I'll stop the recording there, and I'll just Control S to save. Save often, you know? But I think that kind of shows you how I do the voiceover. As for any kind of audio effects on it or anything, I'll be showing you what I do with those on the next episode. However, you don't necessarily need to copy exactly what I'm doing or anything. Everyone's voice is different. Everyone's audio setup is a little different. Everyone's microphone is a little different. And, you know, an audio setup is more than just the microphone. It's the room, it's the preamp, it's the audio interface. It's a lot of things. And everyone's voice sounds different. Everyone speaks differently. Everyone has different mic position and mic discipline. So if you copy exactly what I'm doing in terms of the audio effects, might not work out. Keep that in mind for the next episode. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know everybody's been asking for more episodes. People really want to see how I edit the videos, like the actual video editing part, because a lot of smaller Pokemon YouTubers have been asking me for advice on that. So I really hope that when that video comes out, you guys will find it interesting and helpful. I'm guessing this challenge will probably be out by the time that the video on how I made it is fully out, but we'll have to see. Thank you everybody so much for watching this series. I very much appreciate it. I'm gonna get back to work on doing this voiceover and probably doing a stream over on Twitch TV. And yeah, so much work to do today. So I should get started on that. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.